The moment I walked into her apartment, I knew something was different. The sunlight streamed through the half-open blinds, casting long, golden streaks across the polished wooden floor, but the air felt heavy, tense, as if the very walls were holding their breath. Mia, her hands twisting nervously around the edge of the couch, looked at me with a mixture of hope and panic in her eyes. "My parents are visiting," she said, her voice trembling just enough to pierce straight through me, "and I told them I had a boyfriend." My heart skipped a beat, not because of the confession itself, but because of the unspoken question in her eyes. She looked smaller somehow, fragile beneath the weight of what she'd just shared. I took a deep breath and smiled gently, trying to mask my sudden surge of fear and excitement. "Will they like me?" she asked quietly, and I could hear the tiny cracks of doubt in her voice. At that moment, I realized just how much this mattered to her, and maybe, more than I could admit, to me too. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness and second chances, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, Kindness Chronicles. Your support means the world and helps keep stories like these alive. Mia's parents were arriving in a few hours, and every tick of the clock made the room feel smaller. She had painted an image of me in front of them, a confident, charming, perfect boyfriend, and now I had to live up to that image, though I was far from flawless. I had never met her parents before, and the thought of them sizing me up made my stomach churn. What if they didn't like me? What if they saw through the cracks in my carefully rehearsed personality? I glanced around her apartment, trying to focus on something tangible, a vase of fresh tulips, a stack of books, the sunlight hitting her desk, but my mind was spinning. Mia, sensing my unease, took my hand. Her fingers were warm and trembling, and the touch grounded me in a way I hadn't expected. "You'll be fine," she whispered. "Just be yourself." The drive to her parents' house was suffused with a nervous silence. Every turn of the road felt like a countdown to judgment. Mia kept glancing at me, offering small smiles that were both encouraging and apologetic. I wanted to reassure her, to tell her that I could handle anything, but the truth was, I wasn't sure. I had never felt pressure like this, not from a boss, not from a crowd, not even from past relationships. This was different. This was personal. Her family's acceptance was a validation I didn't even know I craved. When we arrived, her parents' home greeted us with the scent of freshly baked bread and the faint hum of classical music. The door opened, and there they were, Margot and Simon, Mia's parents. Margot had this aura of warmth but carried a sharpness in her gaze that immediately put me on edge. Simon, tall and serious, offered a polite nod, his eyes scanning me in a way that made me feel like I was under a microscope. Mia squeezed my hand, whispering, "Just smile." I smiled, perhaps too widely, and stepped inside, hoping that charm alone would carry me through the storm. The first hour was a delicate dance of small talk and careful observation. Margot asked about my work in a tone that was both curious and evaluative, while Simon interjected occasionally with questions that tested my patience and honesty. Mia sat beside me, her hand occasionally brushing mine as if reminding me silently that I wasn't alone. I tried my best to match their energy, to respond thoughtfully, and to project confidence, but every laugh felt rehearsed, every compliment weighed down with the effort of performance. Yet, slowly, as the afternoon sun spilled golden light through the curtains, I noticed a subtle shift. Margot laughed genuinely at one of my stories, Simon nodded approvingly when I mentioned a shared hobby with Mia. For the first time, I felt a thread of connection weaving through the tension. After lunch, the conversation grew deeper. Margot asked about my family, my past experiences, and even about the kind of man I hoped to be in Mia's life. Simon, initially quiet, finally shared a memory from his own youth, a story about mistakes, redemption, and learning to trust love. I listened, captivated by the humanity in their voices, and realized that they weren't trying to intimidate me, they were trying to understand me, to see if I was worthy of their daughter's trust and happiness. I took a deep breath and spoke honestly about my fears, my ambitions, and the love I had for Mia. The vulnerability in my voice was almost terrifying, yet it seemed to reach them in a way rehearsed words never could. Mia, watching me from across the table, had tears glimmering in her eyes. I could see the relief there, the unspoken gratitude that maybe, just maybe, I could meet the image she had created for her parents. It wasn't about perfection, it was about sincerity, about the courage to show oneself fully, even when judgment loomed. The hours passed like a slow, sweet symphony of connection. We shared stories, laughter, and quiet reflections. There were moments of awkwardness, of missteps in conversation, of me fumbling with words, but those moments only made the eventual understanding more profound. By the time the sun dipped low and the room was bathed in warm, honey-colored light, the atmosphere had changed entirely. Margot reached over and patted my hand with a reassuring smile. Simon clapped me lightly on the shoulder, a gesture of acceptance that made my chest tighten. In that moment, I realized that acceptance isn't about meeting someone else's expectations perfectly, it's about showing up, being genuine, and letting the heart speak louder than the rehearsed image. Mia pulled me aside into the quiet of the living room, away from her parents' soft chatter. She pressed her forehead against mine and whispered, "You were amazing. Thank you for being yourself." Her voice trembled slightly, not from disappointment, but from an overwhelming sense of relief and joy. I hugged her tightly, feeling the tension that had bound both of us dissolve into something warm, human, and real. It wasn't just about her parents liking me anymore, it was about us, about trust, and about the courage to face life's small yet profound tests together. Before the evening ended, her parents called us over for a final toast. Glasses clinked gently in the dim light, and Margot's eyes glistened with emotion as she said, "We may have doubted at first, but it's clear that love and honesty speak louder than appearances. We're happy to see our daughter with someone who cares so deeply for her." Simon added quietly, "Welcome to the family, in whatever way that can mean." I felt a lump in my throat, not just because of acceptance, but because of the human connection we had built in such a short span of hours. It was messy, real, and beautiful, a reminder that life often works in small gestures of courage and honesty, not grand declarations. As we left her parents' house, the sky painted in streaks of pink and gold, Mia held my hand and whispered, "Thank you for being brave." I realized that bravery isn't always about heroics, it's about showing up, even when fear threatens to paralyze you. We walked silently for a while, letting the cool evening breeze carry away the last remnants of tension. The world felt different somehow, lighter, as if the weight of uncertainty had lifted just enough for us to breathe freely again. Special request: take a moment today to reach out to someone you care about, and let them know they are loved. It can change their world more than you imagine. As we settled back into her apartment, I looked at Mia and saw a new sense of peace in her eyes. The challenge of the day had not been easy, yet it had transformed something fundamental in both of us. It was a story of vulnerability, courage, and the subtle magic that occurs when people choose to show their true selves. I squeezed her hand and said softly, "We did it." And she smiled, that small, luminous smile that always made my heart ache and swell at the same time. If this story touched your heart, please engage with the video, like, comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Your engagement keeps stories of hope, love, and kindness alive. That night, as I walked home under the starlit sky, I felt a quiet, unshakable truth settle in me. Love, sincerity, and the courage to be oneself are far more powerful than any judgment or expectation. Mia had asked if her parents would like me, but the day had shown us both something greater. Sometimes, when you show up fully, even the hardest hearts can be reached, and the smallest gestures of honesty can transform the world around you.